Hi, my name is Cameron Brain. I'm the co-founder and CEO of EveryoneSocial, a employee advocacy and social selling platform. And today's presentation is social selling by the numbers. We're going to talk about churn, turnover, pipeline, win rate, deal size, all of the things that, when done correctly, social selling can actually drive. So first off, let's talk about our first number. So 5.4 is the average number of people involved with an opportunity that, if you're a B2B company, that you're pursuing. This is reported by CEB. In reality, this is probably more of a mid-market kind of SMB B2B deal that you might be pursuing. Enterprise deals can oftentimes involve, a lot more. I've seen numbers as high as 12 and 13 people associated with an opportunity. So this is kind of just to basically acknowledge that we're living in a world today where, from a sales perspective, in particular selling into other companies, we have an increasing number of people that we have to work with and that we have to involve in the process. So question, what percentage of deals involve only one connection? And the question here is, what percentage of deals that an average company is pursuing where they only have one real connection into the prospect? Shockingly, it's 65%. So, of all the businesses that were surveyed for this, 65% were chasing opportunities where there was only one contact they were dealing with at the given prospect. So taking this a little bit further, what's the likelihood a decision maker will leave their position within the next 12 months? Not surprisingly, it's 1 in 5. This is up significantly from 5 and 10 years ago. In particular, when you get higher up into kind of the executive ranks, people just simply don't stay around at their job very long. We'll get into that in a little bit here, but start to think about this. You have to connect with more people at the companies that you're pursuing, the opportunities you're pursuing, and 1 in 5 of the decision makers who you are interacting with is likely not going to be there in 12 months. So who's going to last the longest? This may be a little bit surprising, but we took a look at VP of Sales, CMO, CTO, CIO. CIO actually being the longest, VP of Sales second. But I think part of the interesting thing here is that all of these people are not going to be at their company, at least on an average basis, inside of 3 years. So by the end of 3 years, on an average basis, all of these executive positions will have changed. The incumbents will have moved on, and there will be a new person in the hot seat. So we talked a little bit about kind of external turnover in terms of decision makers and the increasing number of people that you actually have to deal with when you're pursuing an opportunity. But what about your own team? What about your own sales team? What about your reps? So 1 in 4 of your reps are likely going to churn out of your team within the next year. So actually a little bit worse than even the amount of churn you're going to see on the decision maker side. Sales rep turnover by years of experience, not a lot of surprise here. The more experience you have, the less likelihood of turnover. But in particular, as we're moving into a world with larger inside sales teams and ADMs, BDRs, etc., with in most cases under 10 years of experience, you're looking at very high churn. And if you've been responsible for building or managing a team like that, you know that. But even at the top end, 10 plus years of experience, you're looking at 11 to 15. 1 out of 4 of those people are going to leave in the next year. And even with 15 plus years experience, 1 out of 5, roughly speaking, are going to leave in the next year. So kind of to bring this all together, I think these are things that we inherently know as leaders. It takes a lot of money and time to recruit and retain really anyone. And in particular in sales, $30,000, 7 months to recruit and train a new sales rep. This is obviously put out by Aberdeen Research. I think we can all probably certainly think of businesses or markets or verticals or even particular sales teams where these numbers are likely much greater. So what happens, the big question here, kind of what we've been leading up to, is what happens when you combine turnover of your reps with turnover at the client? So what we just kind of went through in terms of turnover of decision makers and turnover on your team. It's kind of shocking. It's 40%. So there is a 40% risk associated with the deals that any one of us are pursuing at any one time, given turnover, again, on our own teams and at the client with the decision makers that we're pursuing. So the good news is that social selling can help. Two of the main things that social selling does is really strengthening relationships with our customers and strengthening relationships with our employees. So, if we take a step back, I think there's a lot of kind of hype and hyperbole around, the term social selling, but really what it comes down to is better leveraging each and every one of our networks. And, that's something that, of course, salespeople and frankly, professionals in general have been engaged in for a long time, but the opportunities are kind of turbocharged now. With everyone participating on a variety of social networks, obviously LinkedIn, however, there are many others that, are relevant as well, where people are, publicly posting a profile and sharing information about themselves and their interests and their profession and so forth. It just has created a lot of opportunity for developing new relationships, strengthening existing ones, and this is what social selling is really about. It's not about gimmicky tricks or anything like that. It's about, in many ways, strengthening and accelerating the activities that salespeople and sales teams have been engaged in for decades. So just to speak specifically a little bit about our company, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some client numbers that we have. So for us, as we look at our 2016 deals here at EveryoneSocial, 85% of our deals were influenced by social. And really kind of the benchmark for influenced for us would be, there was some critical step that was really came about as the result of social selling and a social interaction. So a connection being made, content being interacted with, a variety of things that really helped to progress these deals. So this isn't really soft touch stuff. This is kind of like, that was a critical activity associated with us winning that deal. And, as you can see, the vast majority of our deals have been influenced by social. Those, frankly, that weren't, which may be a question that you're asking, would more typically be referral deals, things that were just kind of on their own course and, really didn't require a lot of groundwork on the part of our sales team. So speaking specifically, I want to run through three numbers from one of our customers who's been running a global social selling program. And I want to talk about pipeline, I want to talk about win rate, and I want to talk about deal size, because this is really rubber hitting the road. So what they found over an 18-month period was that those engaged in their social selling program, which is, it includes tools, it includes training, it's a very holistic approach, was that social sellers outperformed non-social sellers in terms of pipeline by 2.2x. So social sellers had created pipe 2.2x that of non-social sellers. Talking about win rate, those engaged in social selling, participants of their social selling programs, at the base level had an improved win rate of 16%. That actually went up to 22% when they included additional activities like sharing content that a prospect engaged with, doing prior research on the contact in their company, a variety of other things. But at the most basic level, just simply the social sellers outperformed the non-social sellers in terms of win rate over that period by 16%. Finally, the deal sizes, average deal sizes of social sellers versus non-social sellers was 42% bigger. And this actually increased substantially. So for the very, very largest deals that this particular company closed within that period, all involved social selling, including some particular activities. So again, just like the 16%, this 42% is really a baseline of just simply saying, This was the average increase in deal size between social and non-social sellers. So as I just kind of went through, social selling it's something that if you're not engaged in it, you're not simply missing out. You're falling behind. It's really hurting you. Again, if we look at the landscape today, where we have more people that we're having to interact with, we're having to develop more of these connections. We have higher turnover inside of our company and at the client. These are all things that are both creating a lot of additional complexity and risk, but if you're actually kind of leaning into it, so to speak, and in this case, really embracing the challenges through a social selling program, it's almost like a judo move. You can turn this thing around, and rather than it becoming an increased amount of risk, you actually have the opportunity to really turn it in your favor, and in many cases, leapfrog your primary competition who's likely not taking advantage of this opportunity right now. The one thing I wanted to just kind of convey with this slide is that social selling involves a variety of pieces, right? There is training, there are tools, there's internal and external support, there's best practices, and all of these things need to be kind of established. You don't need to boil the ocean from day one, but just keep that in mind, that this is something that you're going to start and you're likely not going to want to stop. This needs to become institutionalized, and there's a variety of components associated with that. So thank you for sitting in on the presentation. Hopefully there's some takeaways from this for you that you can take away and put to use. Just a little bit on us. As I said at the outset, our company is EveryoneSocial. We are the leading social selling platform for employees. We're used by top performing global sales teams at Adobe, Dell, CenturyLink, HP, Symantec. We are very cost effective, simple to get going. We work with a variety of partners, including LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Many of our customers use that product alongside EveryoneSocial. If you'd like to know more, click the link below or send me an email. That's my email right there, cbrain@everyonesocial.com. Okay, thank you. Bye.